Welcome back to the Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network, joined by a fellow Locked On family member. That's Mike DeVate of Locked On Patriots, joining us now on the show as we are just a day out from preseason game number 1 when the Panthers visit Gillette Stadium and take on the Patriots in the lid lifter of the preseason. But Mike, before we get into that, it's been news surrounding players who are not on the team this week, as the Brandon Aiyuk Sweepstakes has still not come to an end as we record this right now, but it seems like the Patriots have dropped out of the race. So before we get into them dropping out, let me just get your thoughts on the other night. They're saying it's the Browns and the Patriots. What are your thoughts on them pursuing Brandon Aiyuk first and foremost before we get into what the package might have been?
Yeah, I think everyone in Patriots Nation, Cam, was excited to hear that Brandon Aiyuk and the Patriots, or should say the 49ers, had a deal or a framework for a deal in place. Now, we knew that we were competing with the Cleveland Browns, so there is competition there, obviously, but to hear that type of progress being made is something Patriots fans weren't used to. And bottom line, we knew that the New England Patriots were in a great financial position to be able to make this happen. Approximately $42.6 million in available cap space, supposed to enter 2025 with in excess of $100 million. So you know they're not going to have a problem writing a big check to Brandon Aiyuk. It was whether or not it was going to be a fit here. And look, this obviously was a great fit on the field. Brandon Aiyuk is a prototypical wide receiver that will do so well, or would do so well, in an Alex Van Pelt offense. This is an offense that's predicated on using the run to set up play action, give you an opportunity to take deep shots down the field in a vertical passing game. That's where Brandon is at his best. Last year with the 49ers, he ran a similar type of system, or was in a similar type of system, and he had a great year. 75 catches, 1,342 yards, 7 touchdowns in 16 games. For his efforts, he was awarded a second-team All-Pro. So this guy is at the top of his game. He knows he's only getting better and only getting more comfortable in his own skin and being the type of receiver he can be. I was all in on this. I think a lot of Patriots fans were, and I think a lot of my colleagues in the media were, because not only does it give you that number one wideout that you've been craving here in New England for so long, but one that fits so well into the offense that they want to run, and the ability to not only work with Jacoby Brissett, but also to be able to make Drake May better. Yeah, this was going to be a win all around for the New England Patriots. It's a shame it couldn't get done, but you know, such is the way the ball bounced in this case.
It sure is, and I kind of thought about the Celtics a little bit when this Brandon Aiyuk trade kind of came up, and that is, for years we heard with that draft capital that they had, like, would you trade Jaylen Brown for a Kevin Durant? And a lot of the arguments were, you hope that Jaylen Brown at some point becomes a Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant, and that's what I'm kind of thinking. Like, you would love to have first round picks later. I don't want to touch next year's first round picks. I think that's going to be a premium spot, but it's like, yeah, I would spend the money in a first-round pick to get a guy that we know has produced in the NFL. I don't want to leave it to chance to drafting a receiver again, even though it's no longer Bill Belichick's draft, and that was a position that he really struggled at, which, by the way, he is the one who has opened up a lot of this cap space. Just saying, that puts the Patriots in a pretty good position here. But now it seems the Patriots have pulled out, and we might not ever know the details of what they were going to trade and the money that they were going to offer Aiyuk. But let me ask you this, Mike. What would have been something in that trade package to San Francisco that would have made you go, nope, sorry, no go?
If it was a top 10 pick in this year's draft, I really think the Patriots needed to stop and consider that. I don't necessarily say it needs to completely be taken off the table, because if you're talking the type of talent you're bringing back, established talent that you know is going to be at the top of its game for a number of years, you have to at least consider it. But with all of the needs that the Patriots currently have, and they do have some needs, one of which is a glaring need along the offensive line, especially at the tackle position, there are some prospects in this upcoming 2025 class that could look pretty nice in a Patriots uniform, protecting Drake May, or at least protecting his blind side, or maybe even over on the right if they feel that Caden Wallace can handle duties on the left. but you need to shore that up. And that's something that I think the Patriots are very mindful of. They also have the situation right now with Matthew Judon. Do they continue to pursue getting a deal done with him? We know Judon would like to be here, but it's going to be at his price. So now are the Patriots going to pivot and try to make that a little bit more of a priority moving forward? It definitely isn't the money. I think we've gone through that. For once, money is not the antagonist when it comes to the Patriots and pursuing a wide receiver. You can't fault Elliott Wolf. He was willing to write the check to make Brandon Aiyuk one of the top 5 paid receivers in this league. A lot of reports out there that he was willing to go north of $30 million annual average value. So he's willing to go ahead and write the gamut, but I think it would have been that top 10 pick that the Patriots right now are primed to have with the type of season they're projected to have that would have made me pause and say, okay, I really need to think about this before making this deal. It's not as simple as whatever you want, San Francisco, put it out there and we'll accept it. I think the Patriots had to pause there. At least that would have been something that made me second guess this deal.
I wholeheartedly agree. I actually talked about it in the show earlier. That's the one thing that I can't let that dangle, right? And if when you're going against the Browns, it's a lot easier for them to throw out a first-round pick at somewhere between 17 and 21 than it is to a potentially top 5 pick that the Patriots will be throwing out there. And I like your point about the offensive line because that's something I'm thinking. Are the Patriots' priorities in the right place? Like, we know how important the receiver position has become the last few years when you don't have Tom Brady as your quarterback, and how the Patriots have failed time and time again in the last 5 years at developing a receiver room. And we know that's important for a young quarterback, but equally as important is you don't know what you're going to get out of your tackles this year, and that's a big question mark. So, are there priorities in the right place going after a big-name receiver when there is still such an issue at tackle, or is that just something that would be tough to kind of compensate for this year?
Yeah, I think that's a good balance, and I think that's an excellent point, Cam, because the Patriots do have a number of different priorities right now, and I think offensive line is their top priority on this roster. They've got some budding young wide receivers that they can get excited about, and we heard that in the statement that the Patriots made, unofficial statement, to Adam Schefter of ESPN on Tuesday night, that they're very excited by the young receivers they have on this staff. Right now, I think the offensive line is something they could really use an awful lot of help with. But again, you're talking generational talent. And if the Patriots feel that Brandon Aiyuk is a generational talent at wide receiver and he's developing into that level and really, I think, entering that conversation each and every year that he gets better and better, well, then you have a decision to make. Do you go for the wide out that is established and that could come in and provide that security blanket of a top level player at the position that could help Drake May develop into a better quarterback, that could allow Jacoby Brissett to navigate this team a little bit better? Those are all questions that the Patriots coaching staff and the front office have to be able to answer. And again, it really also depends on your offensive line. Is Caden Wallace a guy that could end up being your left tackle of the future or your right? Does Chuck Secorifor give you the opportunity to be that type of veteran lineman that the Patriots need right now? Even if it's a bridge year, you need someone capable of sealing those edges. If the Patriots feel they have that on staff, yeah, Aiyuk may be the guy to go to. But if they feel at all that that offensive line is just kind of makeshift and getting us through the year to get to next season, that's where you really have some problems, and you really have to think about what your priorities are.
We are Rogue Media Sports.